Your app fiber and entertainment bag is ready. Switch on over. The heat has bust. Fully developed. Yes. Your telescope. All these with my app fiber? Yes, ma'am. Sit on a with the best entertainment deals out there. Act FiberNet gives you more than you ever need. Blockbuster Entertainment, Amazon Prime, सच में too much.
Good morning to all the participants present here. I'm Smaranya Vijay Krishna and I'm your host for this morning. Welcome to day 2 of TechVantage. Let us begin today's session with the keynote speech by Mr. Shashi Shekhar on the topic of evolution of new age internet through the revolution of blockchain. I would like to invite him onto the stage. Please put your hands together.
Can I get a handheld mic? Is that possible?
Yes, sir.
Sure, thank you.
introduce our speaker today. Mr. Shashi Shekhar is an advisor for Web3 education and blockchain adoption. He is a director of strategy and growth for the NEO protocol, a next generation blockchain. He has also been the mentor for youth engagement in several schools and colleges. It is an honor to have you here, sir. I would like to hand over the session to him.
Can I get a handheld
Yeah.
presentation?
Handheld mic. Hand wala mic.
Slide.
Hello everyone, good morning. Can you increase the volume a little bit here? Is it okay? Okay. Good morning, it's a very nice typical Bangalore weather morning. How are you guys all doing? How many of you have been forced to come out of the classes already? That's normally what happens. Any idea what is this session about apart from what is written on the screen over here? So the idea is to make it a little bit interactive so that it's not typical tech boarding session for you. I have tried to keep it very simple for all of you. Because I'm assuming it might be your first interaction with blockchain technology for most of you. That's my assumption here. I will be pleasantly surprised if that is not the case. So I know it's a bit early in the morning and normally nothing happens in college before 12 a.m. People are like half asleep and all of that. But I will request you to see if you can participate a little bit. So quick question, do you have any expectation from the session? And it's okay if you don't have. Sorry? Okay, so let's start. I was told that I should speak about what is evolution of this technology and what's actually happening and why you should be aware of it. So can you go to the next slide, please? A little bit about me. I grew up in northern part of India, to be precise, eastern part of India from the state of Bihar, and I have been like, it has always been a journey of seeking knowledge, and for me, I think I'm an educator who really wants to learn through education, so I started my career professionally with UNICEF almost a decade back to design pedagogy which is still implemented in all the public schools in Rajasthan and was instrumental in adoption of that. This was early childhood pedagogy, if you understand that. And then I co-founded India's biggest civic tech platform around citizen participation and environmental problem solving right here in Nama Bengaluru. I worked there for 5 years. We had people like Mr. Nilikinis and co-founders of Mindtree investing in us, and it grew up very well. It is still functioning, but during the pandemic I decided that now it's time to change because the world was falling apart. And so I started, I realized that there are a lot of startups globally who are actually closing. Very good startups because they don't know what to do now in the changing paradigm. So I started consulting them as advisors to actually save these companies. And like these companies were like from India and like as far as West Coast in US, in US you have a specific category of businesses called disadvantaged business enterprises, DBE they call it. And these are mostly by people of color, people with physical, differently able people and all of that, and they were not able to run their enterprises anymore. So how do you actually help them pivot? Management, that's what we call it. And so that was my journey, and then I stumbled upon blockchain. I started working as director in one of the biggest blockchain in the world called Near Protocol, and my role there was to actually help them in the adoption of blockchain globally. And then after that, currently I'm working on another blockchain, which is called Internet Protocol, looking after their regional strategy and everything. Little bit like 15 years back, I always wanted to become a computer engineer. My father wanted me to become a doctor, so I ended up in Kasturba Medical College. Was there for a month or so, and then I realized I didn't want to do medicine anymore. So I left the college and started at University of Delhi and trained myself into environmental sciences. But why I'm sharing all of this is, I personally believe that it's not important what you learn, but it's important why you learn and what you can do with that learning. So I'm trained into something very different, and all my life I have been questioning like what's next. So if you see the journey around, it's always been like, okay, I have reached, there's nothing more to learn here, let's move on. So that's how I see my life. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So we will go through these 4 things, concepts of blockchain, evolution, current use cases, and future. So next slide, please. So let's talk about life. What is life? If I have to talk in mathematics, it's a function of time. Do you agree with that? If you see life, it's a function of time. Everything that happens is actually a function of time. So your experiences, your identity. What's your name, sir? What's your name? Bharat. You were not born Bharat, right? You were not born Bharat, right? Or for that matter, anybody, your name, you were not born with that name. At a particular time in your life, that name was assigned to you. Please understand this. So what I'm trying to do is, people say blockchain is very complicated and all of that. It's actually not. So if you see everything that you own, the phone, the mobile phone that you have, the watch that you have, the bag that you have, the clothes that you're wearing, the certificates, the degree that you are having, it's all function of time. Let that concept sink in. Like, it's all function of time. If we plot your life on a time scale, these identities will get attached to you over a period of time, right? Or these experiences. And let's talk about all of this. Like, it's like name, your residency, money that you own, certifications, physical and digital assets, right? Do you agree with, because this is the core concept of blockchain, or in general life, like it's a function of time, right? Okay, next slide please. But there's a slight problem here. Everything that you own, you are not in full control of that. And why do I say this? Like, you might be thinking this guy has smoked something up. Why is he saying I'm not in full control of my name? I am this person and I am full control of my name. No, you are not. You are not, because for you to be Bharat, you need to be certified that you are Bharat. And how that happens? There is a trusted, centralized party whose permission is needed for you to be identified as Bharat. Say for example, your birth certificate, right? Your birth certificate certifies that you are Bharat, born to such and such parents, right? And that itself, what if that trusted party turns rogue or become defunct? We'll wait for a moment. There's some commotion here. Can you go back to the previous slide, please? Because I'll quickly recap, because last slide was very important for this entire concept of blockchain. So I will just, please settle down quickly. Yeah, so the folks who have just joined us in the room, this is, and I'm sure some of you are very senior and understands blockchain very well, but the target audience of this is mostly students over here who might be hearing or knowing blockchain for this might be their first touch point with the blockchain. So this slide over here is talking about life in general, and your life is a function of time. Right from the day you were born, everything that you own, everything that you are known for, everything that you possess is a function of time. Every piece of cloth that you own, every gadget that you own, even your parents, right, is a function of time. So next slide, please. And all of this thing, all your identity, all your ownership is actually dependent on three key terms. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There is always a trusted party which is centralized and whose permission is needed for you to be identified. My name is Shashi, and I can't be Shashi if this entity doesn't certify me as Shashi. That's the truth. That's the truth. If my birth certificate goes, look, I miss that, and then I'm not able to verify that I am Shashi by other means, then I'm no more Shashi, because I don't own that. And what if this trusted party then becomes defunct? And now, normally when I say this, you might think government. Government is a very big thing. Like, in our day-to-day lives also, there's so many things that we own and deal with, which we actually don't own. And we needed a trusted party, like your driving licenses, your certificates, your watch, everything like needs to be, it has to have a trusted party, and that's why you are not in control. Next slide, please. So what should we do if I'm not in control, and tomorrow everything that I own, and I'm not trying to paint a picture of doomsday here, but imagine, like, and it has happened, like everything that I own, and it's happening globally as we speak right now. The devaluation of currency that we see the devaluation of, or even like basic things around something that we interact on a day-to-day basis, like your email suddenly is blocked, or your social media account is blocked. So the only way to this is if we work in a trustless system. What is a trustless system? Do you understand this term, trustless? So trustless basically means that you don't need anybody's trust to certify you. It's trustless. It's permissionless. You don't need a permission from someone, say, please, let me be called Shashi. You don't need that permission. And you need it to be decentralized, because if it is centralized, then there is for sure you need permission. So these are very key tenets of blockchain, these three things. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Can you ensure somebody is there permanently? So I have in my life heard many amazing explanations of blockchain. Like right from the complex one that you can think of. But if you ask me, Shashi, what is blockchain? I will say it's a clock that ticks in blocks. Normally your clock ticks in minutes and seconds. This clock ticks in blocks. And why do I call it a clock? It's a very important thing why I call it a clock. Because if it is a clock, then it can track and work as a function of time. Please understand this, that past two slide that I explained to you, your life is a function of time. Everything that you own is a function of time. Now imagine a clock that is decentralized, permissionless and trustless, then it can track everything without a central entity. Now this right there puts the entire world order upside down. And this is not a small statement. Normally people don't explain blockchain as a clock. And why I say this, if you go to Bitcoin white paper, 3 out of 8 references in the Bitcoin white paper is about decentralized timekeeping. And so basically if it is a clock, so it can track what happened today at 12 a.m. in your life, and then it can track what happened 5 years back in your life. And if that data cannot be changed at all, then it solves the problem. So forget about all the amazing complex jargons that you have heard about blockchain or read about blockchain or anything. Essentially it's nothing, it's a clock. So every time it ticks, like your watch ticks, a new minute is created or a new second is created. Every time blockchain ticks, a block is created. And if you want to sound very smart and techy, you can go online and look up transactions by someone called Ralph Buchel. It's a very interesting concept of how do you actually track different events that happens. But because I personally feel that there is a very simple explanation of this, it's just a clock. Keep this concept in your mind and you will be able to solve everything related to blockchain. Blockchain is a clock that ticks in blocks. Next slide please. Now here comes the complex diagram. Obviously it's a tech conference, there has to be something complex here. So what happens basically here, now let me, like everybody uses UPI here, like Google Pay, Phone Pay, everybody, right? I'm assuming this. Yes or no? So what happens? Like you open up, say I use Google Pay, I open up, and I'm using payment as a method. Blockchain is just not related to payment, but I'm just using it as an easy example. What happens is, you open, you send money to say your friend, but actually you're not sending money to your friend, your bank is keeping a ledger. Okay, Shashi has $100. He now has sent $10 to person X. So now that person X has 120, now $10 gets added. Right? So the bank is verifying that. And we have seen like some banks getting defunct and people not able to take out their money. Have you seen those news already? It happened in India with a couple of banks. So what it essentially does here is, the entire central entity is no more central. Like the easiest example I can give you is, I'm not sure if in our generation it was done, there was something called as torrent, where you can download movies, and have you heard of that? So what used to happen there is, instead of one centralized server, there were people who used to keep that file in their computers, and then there is a peer-to-peer sharing. Here what happens is, the moment you initiate a transaction, there is an entire peer group who verifies on a public ledger that this person owned this much, this asset, and has first do they own this asset, and then it is verified that if yes, then, and he wants to send it to person B. So this entire network basically does that, and this is a very important concept over here. If you see, this is basically what I was talking about, a clock that ticks in blocks. This block over here. So every time a transaction or a set of transactions happens, and now you might be getting technical, there is a block size and block height and all of those things, but basically what it is every time the transaction is confirmed, a new block is created, and it's like a chain. Now why this cannot be changed? Because it's like a chain that is getting created. Now if you want to change data in this block, you have to undo these many blocks. And that's financially not viable and technically also very complex. So once the data is stamped on a blockchain, is filled in a block, it's immutable, it cannot be changed. And the moment that happens, so now this is decentralized, you can see a peer group, this is trustless, you don't need somebody to know who you are, and it's immutable, it cannot be changed. Next slide please. So let's talk about evolution of blockchain. Next slide please. So welcome to Internet of Value. Now why do I say Internet of Value? How many of you understand, have read about evolution of Internet? Anybody here? Who knows how Internet was actually built and done? So Internet was initially created as a peer-to-peer communication network back in 1979 in US. The TCP/IP protocols that you see, and then DNS came somewhere around 1989, and then WW came around 1993. All of this, right? But right now, the internet that you're using, you are the product. The product, they mine your data and use it for different things. Amazon does that, Google does that, Facebook does that, Instagram does that, everybody does that. But you don't get anything out of it apart from wasting your time, most of the time. So somebody is getting rich on your time, and you're not getting anything out of it. You don't control the data. Tomorrow, if Gmail decides that you don't have access to your email anymore, you can't do anything about it. Are you getting my point? And then if you have to think of extremes, like not very extreme. If you look at Turkey, what is happening? Turkey lira, the currency there is devaluating very fast, and so the money that you have earned doesn't hold the same value that it should hold. And I don't want to get into this entire history of money, but it's very interesting. If you are not actually read about it, you should definitely read about it. How actually money is nothing. It's the paper money I'm talking about. It's a thing that we said, okay, we'll call this paper $100, and this can buy this much. Tomorrow I can say this mic is the money, and this is worth, and I can buy a house with this mic, and if you agree and you are the house owner, then we have a transaction here. It's as simple as that. If you think of concept of money, that's how money is. Now, all of this might be very baffling to you, but this is why it's Internet of Value. Because here, you're not the consumer. You're part of a community where you stay, you hold it. So you control your data. You control your identity. You control your ownership. And there is also a flip side. Because you have access keys to all of this. If you forget or misplace this, nobody in the world can recover this for you. There are billions and billions of dollars of coins that are stuck and gone forever because people have forgotten their keys. But it's Internet of Value in terms of like you are in control, you are in the driving seat. You don't want somebody to share your data, they won't be able to share without your permission. I just don't want to get into too technical of all of this to make it very simple, but whatever I'm saying is not rocket science. You can find it everywhere, all on internet. Let's go to the next slide, please. So what are the key features of blockchain, right? So first of all, we saw it's distributed. It's not centralized. There are verifiers who verify the ledger. Like how in your bank a cashier or ledger keeper is verifying. Imagine like breaking that ledger keeper into thousands of bookkeepers who verify simultaneously. Then it's immutable. As I said, once the block is created, it cannot be changed. It's time stamped because it's a clock, so for sure it has to be time stamped. Any ownership that you have has to be time stamped. It's anonymous. Now, can I know how much money you have in your bank account? No, right? Unless, even if I know your account number, the bank won't let me know to verify my identity and all, right? Now here on a blockchain, whatever you own, anybody who knows your ID can see this. And there are also other type of blockchain, which is a private blockchain, but in general, most of the blockchain is public blockchain. What it means is, but mostly like my account on blockchain is not by my name. It's some like how you have in games, right? You can keep a pseudonym or be anonymous, right? But the idea is, all of this is anonymous, but still you can verify everything on block. Everything is transparent because it's a public ledger. Imagine your bank putting the entire ledger outside, posting on the wall. That's how it is. So if you know who is that person or that entity, you can verify the trail of everything. So you can call out corruptions there, you can do everything. And then it's secure because, again, as I said, this data is immutable. It cannot be reversed. At least there is no much, technically it can be reversed, but there is not enough financial incentive to reverse the data once in a blockchain. And I will talk about programmable a little bit in the next slide. Can we move to the next slide, please? Now understand the internet first. So the base layer is what was developed in 1970s, the TCP/IP thing, by an entity called Aplanet out of US. This was mostly for different services initially, and then it evolved into DNS and in WWW, what we saw. And then in 2009, Bitcoin came as a distributed ledger. That's the layer that you see in blue over the black. And basically what it did is you can track the sharing of assets over a public ledger. And then in 2015, Ethereum, another blockchain that came in being, did something very interesting. For computer science students, you will know this. There's something called as Turing complete virtual machine. So basically, it's computers are nothing. It's data decisions and loops. Any program or anything is data decisions and loops. So a Turing complete virtual machine is like a computer. So what Ethereum does is, you create a virtual machine every time it is. So on top of the blockchain, they created a computer on which you can program. Now suddenly this opened a huge area of development, because earlier it was just like a ledger which came with Bitcoin. But with Ethereum you can deploy a smart contract. Now why it is called a smart contract? Because if you give the command like, if this happens, do this, it will do it on its own. So if you say like, the moment my account reaches X amount, or if something X condition happens, do this. Or if you say, if you are in trading, you say, okay, if the price of this goes at this level, make this happen, like invest this much or withdraw this much. I'm just giving you basic examples of a smart contract. Smart contract is something like a contract that you do for like you are buying a property, so you do a contract, right? Or tenancy or anything. But imagine that being smart, which can based on like one of the best examples I've seen is like, there was a software which people created that actually every time you submit a proof of work, it releases the money automatically for you. So there are many use cases that can happen, but there was an issue with Ethereum and a couple of blockchains that came out after that, was because a small portion of that, which is the smart contract, was on blockchain, because blockchain is nothing, it's a slow and expensive database. Which is also which doesn't lie, but this was very expensive back then. Still with Ethereum it is. But the bigger problem was not everything was on chain, just the smart contract. The entire thing, the entire DApp, the front end of it, everything was on centralized servers like Amazon or whatever AWS servers. Now Internet Computer in 2021 came in and put with their chain key technology and everything, they put entire thing on blockchain. Now you can develop your entire app. Now in blockchain what happens, because blockchain is a closed network, For it to interact with the world outside, it needs oracles. It is a technical term. Oracles are nothing basically like in simple words. If you want to take data into blockchain, like say for example, what is the weather today? You need an oracle to interact with that blockchain. Now that was the issue because oracles were sometimes not functional and all of that. So in this internet computer, you can actually do HTTPS calls directly into the smart contract. So this is a little bit technical. It's okay if you don't understand it. It's not the end of the world. But what I'm trying to say is blockchain is evolving by every day. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now current use cases. Next slide, please. Now this might be a little overwhelming. Most of the use cases that we hear these days are mostly around digital currency. But there is a lot that can happen on a blockchain. Like I know in Telangana, I was speaking to the minister there, and they have actually tried out election voting on blockchain recently in one of the municipal elections there. Now, why it is important from that perspective? Because rigging of electoral rolls and all of this is a huge issue. Second, same thing with land records. I come from Bihar. Land records is a huge issue in Bihar. A lot of people get killed due to land records. It's one of the biggest issue in that part of the country, and probably in every part of this country. And the moment you start putting that data on blockchain, you can see this. But these are very basic ones. Like I have seen. So one of the key thing that blockchain does is tokenization. You can tokenize any asset. So for example, tomorrow you want to build a university and you don't have capital for that. You can tokenize that university and a fraction of ownership can be yours. It's called fractional ownership, that concept. And I'm not going to read out this slide for you. And also this image is just taken this morning from internet, Google search. So I have not made this particular slide for you. But what I'm trying to tell you is, there is n number of use cases that can come. Again, going back to the first slide about life. Life is a function of time, and anything that you own is a function of time, and you need a centralized entity permission to have that ownership verified. So anything in your life that can be on blockchain if you own that. Any form of ownership. Now, next slide please. Next slide please. In my opinion, the best way to predict future is looking in the past. And so we don't need to go very let's go back to 90s. While the use cases that I showed it to you are based on our current understanding of what this blockchain can do. Like imagine in 1993, some of you might not have been born also, but imagine in 1993, somebody says that, hey, you can use internet without a wire. And people would have laughed at that person. Because at least I remember my first interaction with internet in 1997 was like we used to have this dial-up phone, and the phone will not work if you are using the internet and all of that. And we used to get these coupons. There was a company called Sifi back then, and it was, people were like, oh, you need to go to a specific cafe to use the internet. Like imagine people would have told you that you can send money from your phone. And you would have said that this guy needs to go in asylum or somewhere. Now there are different types of people in the world. Not everybody in this room will understand where we are. Now imagine in 1993, if you can become the leading mobile developer or web developer in that region, imagine the kind of impact that you can create. The same opportunity stands in front of you right now with blockchain. Because I saw you the development of internet over a period of time, 1970s and all of this. After 1993, this is the first time, we are still very early, we are just getting started. And what this digital clock can do for us, we don't know. Exactly. But what I for sure know is how actually you can be ahead of this, and is keeping a close eye on the tech. I'm a non-technical person. I wanted to be a computer engineer. Thanks to my father, I couldn't. But what I know is what's happening in this blockchain, and you don't need to be a technical person to do that. And if you are a coder or someone, then this is the time for you. Because from the monetary point of view, from the technological advantage point of view, we are at the cusp of this thing where blockchain technology coupled with probably AI and other things will be very amazing in terms of how we interact with the world. Because suddenly you can fractionalize ownership at the level of 10 to the power minus 18. Suddenly you can, so imagine that thing, like tomorrow anything that we have can be tokenized and can be owned collectively, because this is the power of internet, right? Like it's no more like if you use Twitter or any of these public platforms, you know some of these movements can actually are very powerful, where you can actually create an entire thing as you being individual. You don't need to be powerful anymore. And that's where the world is transitioning to. And my invitation to all of you is be part of this party as early as possible. Because what happens with this technology is Amazon was created in 90s, right? Now it's tough to create an Amazon again. You cannot. So please understand this. And while Facebook to Instagram is no different, but Internet of 1983 and Internet of 2022 with blockchain, or 2023 with blockchain is very, very different. On that note, next slide please. I would love to take your questions around blockchain technology. What do you see? I can share a lot of examples around this, so yeah. Any questions? If you have no questions, it means either the talk, it can only be two things. Either the talk was too boring or you didn't got anything. Yeah. The first one is on me, second one is on you. So, yes. Any questions? Yes, please. Can you have the mic there, please? Do you have? We can. Cost-wise, it depends. Like, see, blockchain is nothing. It's a ledger that you create in which the group of validators who will validate this, right? So you can create, but it has to be financially viable for you. You can create a blockchain out of your own computer. It's okay. There's nothing that will stop you, at least technologically speaking and concept-wise speaking. Yeah. Any questions, please? It's like, there are two things in blockchain. A lot of people gets very much bugged into blockchain. Like, what is blockchain? How does blockchain functions? It's like you want to learn car driving. When you go for car driving, does the instructor tells you, okay, it's a 4-cylinder engine with this much horsepower, this much torque and all of that, or does they tell you this is the paddle, this is the clutch, first one or the later one? So while you can create blockchain on your own and understand the technology at the level, but there is so much that can be built on blockchain, and it's way, way simpler than that. So that I would suggest if you begin with that. Yes. Any other questions, please? Yes, please. Mic is coming. If you want a mic.
what are the ways to become a validator? Like, what steps we should follow?
So there are two things that you need. One is a machine, either a physical machine or a cloud machine to become a validator. And another is there are codes that you need to deploy in your machine. Mostly these work out of Ubuntu or Ubuntu servers and all of that. And then you apply those codes, you download the entire ledger of blockchain into your computer and keep syncing it, and that's all. The program runs on its own. I run a validator myself. I just hired a coder to do the coding for me, and that just set up. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
And obviously you earn money because every time you validate, you get coins out of it. Yeah.
How much time does it take for validation? Because it will be long.
It depends upon the block time. So to give you an example, blockchain, Bitcoin, the first blockchain. By the way, blockchains, you might be hearing name of Ethereum and all of that. All of these are like countries. They have their own currency, they have their own rules and everything. Please understand this. Bitcoin is different from Ethereum to Polkadot to Neo to Avalanche to Internet Computer. All of these are different countries. But you can't have same currency and same rules in different countries. There can be something similar by and large, but that's about it. So your question was?
How long does it take for validation?
Validation, it depends. So there's a concept called finality and block time. So to give you an example, it takes close to sometimes even an hour to validate one block on Bitcoin. Around 15 minutes on Ethereum, and on new age blockchains like Neo, Polkadot, Internet Computer, Avalanche, Solana, and all of those, less than a second. Sometime 2 seconds, 3 seconds like that. And it's basically, can you go back to the slides? I can show you basically why this time is different. Go back. Next, please. Yeah, just hold. Just this one. So basically this time is different due to this. It's a step over here called consensus. Basically consensus is nothing. How does all the validators agree that this is a legit transaction? Now there is a concept of proof of work and then proof of stake, and then there are multiple variations of proof of stake. I will not get into this, but basically it's like how some validators or some blockchain wants everybody to have exact replica of the blockchain. But in proof of work, basically you compete against each other for validating. So you need to have a higher power of machine. And that's why Bitcoin is not that environment friendly and it requires a lot of energy. Ethereum has transitioned from proof of work to proof of stake recently. So yeah. So it's okay if you don't understand any of these. To use blockchain, you don't need to do that. In 2 minutes, you can create a wallet or use like social media or anything that different blockchain applications that exist.
So as you said that for validating various other compete with that. That means one system competes with other companies.
That is proof of work. Right now only Bitcoin works on that. No other blockchain works on that. Now proof of stake happens. Based on your stake, you get the validation opportunity and accordingly validate.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Also, just to be mindful of time, are we on time or we are late? We are on time? Okay, great. So, any other questions? I would love to, yes, please. To blockchain as a user or as a person, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So, like, this is little out of context. Like, in 80s, I think, when computer science came, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, many of the engineering institutes like IIT, LIT, computer science came to the technology, and that time people even who were in civil engineering or environmental science, those who got that opportunity and jumped and rode on this computer science technology are like big shots in the industry now, right? So can we relate this to today's scenario that computer science is out of game and blockchain is in thing, and anyone from any industry who ride on this blockchain now will have a better, bigger future in after 10 years down the line, or maybe couple of
So while there is not a simple blockchain is still computer science, just for that matter. But if I understand the tenet of your question. So there are two answers here. If you ask from monetary point of view, an average developer right now, a JavaScript developer or a Python or a developer earns, if you're out of college, you earn like somewhere around, in India I'm talking about $25,000 to $50,000 rupees. Or if you are from some premier institutes, you can earn up to like $1 lakh, 2 lakh per month, right? But the average salary of blockchain developers, or people, there are two types of developers in blockchain. One who works on blockchain and one who develops smart applications on blockchain. There are two types of, and the average salary of blockchain developer, one who works on blockchain, starts minimum of $100,000. That's like 80 lakhs a year. And the average smart contract developer salary ranges somewhere around $30,000 to upwards. So that's there, and there's a huge acute shortage of developers there. But in blockchain, you don't need to be developer to be part of this entire thing. I'm not a developer, and I'm creating great value around all of this. But having said that, if somebody wants to run, you don't need to go to a college these days to learn blockchain, to be honest. There are like the courses that we run from my company, or all blockchains run. Like you can learn that for free. You actually get paid to learn. Forget about asking money to learn, you get paid to learn. So that's why I said Internet of Value. And the second thing, like there might be artists in the room. I know artists, some friends in Turkey and other places, who have made a fortune and created entire value out of this. I'm actually talking to a friend right now who sings Kabir, and we're trying to get his entire he's a very renowned Kabir singer. We're trying to get his entire Kabir songs into blockchain. Now how this happens, like I was also connected to one of the biggest Punjabi singers a couple of months back, and normally what happens, like when you're a singer, you create a record and the record company use the song. And you just get paid one time, and the record company makes money lifetime. Now in blockchain, if you're a singer and you put your song on blockchain, I can buy that song, but I can sell that song further. And every time that song is sold, for the lifetime I keep getting a royalty out of it. That's why I said Internet of Value. This is Internet of Value. We are at cusp of, and on the risk of sounding like a cultist leader, I am saying we are at cusp of a new technological revolution, like internet and then mobile and now this. So it's a layer. That's why you saw in the image. Can you go a slide now? Can you next slide please? Next slide please. Next slide please. Next slide. Yeah. If you see, this is not. Like I'm not saying it's beyond internet. It's a layer on internet. It's a layer on internet. You see TCP/IP right there, right? So it's a layer on internet. Then further, there can be an AI layer on top of this. There can be multiple things. So yeah, hope this answers your question. Any other question?
Internship opportunities for the students in your...
Yeah, there are a lot of internship opportunities. I've given my Twitter handle, but as I said, you get paid to learn. whatever you want to learn. And then you can also, if you are a builder wants to develop an enterprise, for young people, we have a grant up to $5,000. You can submit a proposal, and if you qualify for that, that's there. So that's what I do. I work. I have been working in here and then now in ICT to ensure that how does young people gets on this bandwagon. Like I was specifically running a program for women in Syria, training them into blockchain. So because this money can travel anywhere. You don't need like Russia is right now using this money to fund the entire thing. And you will see a few more developments coming out of Russia around and China and blockchain technology in next couple of months. That's all I can say right now. But the point here is this can create a lot of value. And the best part of blockchain is you can work from anywhere. You don't need to migrate anymore to cities to work for that. We are right now running a program for earthquake victims in Turkey, where we are educating them on blockchain, onboarding them, and it's not only for tech people, it's for non-tech people also. Yeah.
So can we take it from here, like this college and Sumeru Digital, we are also giving training in blockchain and all. So can we expect a collaboration between us so that these students can also benefit, and with your guidance and Sumeru's platform we can collaborate so that we can offer them something, right?
Yes, the easy answer is yes, for sure. Anybody who wants, as I said, it's a trustless, permissionless, decentralized platform. And it's I'm not saying you should come to ICT where I work. Go to anywhere you think works for you. It's not about like centralization again. So for sure, I know Abhijit quite well now, and always there to support whatever strategically, financially, and whatever is there for people. So that's always there.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much. Any question from students? So are you all here?
Now they're just waking up now.
Yeah. So great. Sashi, you would want to carry on or like?
No, I'm done. If there are any further questions, thank you very much.
Yeah. So all the delegates and like, first we give a round of applause for Shashi.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Sachin sir, for this wonderful talk on blockchain and also for clearing all the queries up. So, budding engineers, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to one and all present here. We'll be having a panel discussion in 15 minutes, so you guys can take a break and we can get back. Okay. And we have a change in schedule for the day for the workshops. So from 2:30 to 3:30 we have a standalone session in the auditorium by Aditya sir. And from 3:30 to 4:30 we have Tavisha session on DAPS in auditorium again. And other workshops will happen parallel. So we'll start with the panel discussion in another 5 minutes. So we request you to cooperate with us.
So this is going to be very interesting panel discussions. You can clear all the doubts with the heads of states of heads of different companies. So please do not leave the hall, sit here and chit chat. Okay. Everyone please come back after the break. Don't go anywhere. Please be seated. You cannot go right now.
Yes, please.
Please be seated, please.
So break is not, please be seated. Please be seated.
Please be seated, please.
The session will be starting in 5 minutes. Please be seated. Everyone.
Guys, please be seated, please. Friends, please be seated. Where are you going? Door close करो. Check, hello, check, hello, check, hello, check.
Yes. How many are from computer science? Electronics? AI? There's data science also, na? Anyone from data science? फर्स्ट ईयर को है क्या सिर्फ अभी? AI हो गया है. मैकेनिकल? नो वन? इलेक्ट्रिकल? वन. अच्छा, आर यू एबल टू रिलेट टू ब्लॉकचेन? हाथ उठाओ. हाउ मेनी आर एबल टू रिलेट टू ब्लॉकचेन? So we want a feedback like, are you really understanding what is happening in the industry or not? Then accordingly we will work out in next summit. Acha, anyone wants to share something about your aspiration into technology? Like anyone wants to tell how a technology can be utilized? Anything like that? So just for example, when I was doing computer science engineering, I was not at all interested in learning programming. Okay, I was kind of like, सुन लो, जो समझ आ रहा है बढ़िया है, मुझे कोडर नहीं बनना है. मेरे को डेस्कटॉप जॉब में कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, बट कंप्यूटर साइंस बड़ा हाइप में था और पेरेंट्स पीछे पड़े थे, तो मैंने कहा ले लो, बहती गंगा में हाथ साफ कर लो. बट इंटरेस्ट पता है क्या था मेरा इवेंट मैनेजमेंट में बहुत इंटरेस्ट था। एस्पिरेंट जो हो रहा है ना तुम लोग का हुआ था अभी, मेरे को तो क्लियर था कि मैं एक रॉक बैंड का इवेंट मैनेजमेंट करूंगा। मुझे एक बैंड नहीं पसंद था, मुझे सारे बैंड पसंद थे। तो मुझे लगता था एक साथ बैठा देंगे सबको, वो अपना परफॉर्म करेंगे, हम अपना सर हिलाते रहेंगे। यस, सो आई हैड फ्रेंड्स इन आईआईटी एंड दे वर इनटू इवेंट। उनका जो होता है आईआईटी का कल्चरल फेस्ट, तो वहां पे वो लोग बैंड बुलाते थे और मैं वहां जाता था उनके लिए इवेंट मैनेजमेंट करने। मैं कहा रॉक बैंड वाला सारा इवेंट मैं देखूंगा। एंड फॉर्चुनेटली आई वाज इन दिल्ली दैट टाइम। तो दिल्ली में एक आरएसजे मैगजीन है, एनीवन हर्ड अबाउट आरएसजे मैगजीन? नॉट इन दिल्ली बट इंडिया की वो टॉप मोस्ट मैगजीन थी 98 99 के टाइम पे। और मेरे को लगा कि ये मैगजीन में रॉक बैंड का पूरा डेटा होगा इन लोग के पास। तो आई वेंट इनटू दैट मैगजीन टीम एंड फाउंड आउट हु इज द ओनर, एंड फॉर्चुनेटली ओनर वाज माय स्कूल सीनियर एंड दैट पर्सन टोल्ड मी कि पूरा एक इवेंट मैनेजमेंट दिल्ली में करना है, यू वांट टू ज्वाइन एंड ज्वाइन इट इमीडिएटली, क्योंकि ही वांटेड अ बिग टीम टू डू दैट। अब सोचो कंप्यूटर साइंस में पढ़ के इवेंट मैनेजमेंट में करियर बना रहे थे, ठीक है, एंड बहुत बढ़िया बन सकता था, चलता जा रहा था, चीजें बदलती जा रही थी। एंड वन डे आई डिड अ आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग कोर्स। सो व्हेन आई डिड द आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग कोर्स आई फाउंड आउट कि एक दो करियर नहीं है लाइफ में, तो बहुत सारे करियर्स है। कोई इंजीनियरिंग कर रहा है, कोई बीकॉम करके एमबीए करना चाह रहा है, कोई चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है, कोई फैशन इंडस्ट्री में है। एंड लाइक आई वाज टोटली ब्लोन आउट कि कितने करियर्स हैं। और अगर आप देखो तो एवरीवन इज इंटरेस्टेड इन एवरीथिंग दीस डेज, यस और नो? हर एक को इंटरेस्ट है, फैशन में भी इंटरेस्ट है, किसी को इंजीनियरिंग के कुछ पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट में इंटरेस्ट है, एआईएमएल में इंटरेस्ट है, राइट? एवरीवन एग्री टू दिस? You are now able to see all the careers better. Like 10 years before जो सीए बनना चाहता था उसको बस सीए ही दिखता था, क्योंकि उसके पेरेंट्स से या उसके पीयर से, फ्रेंड सर्कल से सिर्फ चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट ही पता लगे। बट टुडे बिकॉज ऑफ इंटरनेट वी हैव द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू लर्न एनीथिंग अबाउट एवरीथिंग। यस और नो? अग्री एवरीवन? सो दिस इज हाउ द वर्ल्ड इज चेंजिंग। बट अगर आप कंप्यूटर साइंस के हो, आप अपनी लाइफ को सिर्फ कंप्यूटर साइंस में ही ले जाना चाहते हो, तो आई एम वेरी श्योर कि आपके ऊपर इन्फ्लुएंस होगा ही होगा बाद में। आज आप एआईएमएल कर रहे हो, यू नो एनीवन? ब्लॉकचेन का बीटेक प्रोग्राम चल रहा है एसएसआरएम यूनिवर्सिटी में। अभी बीटेक का सात्विक इज हियर बाय एनी चांस? नो। सो ही इज डूइंग बीटेक इन ब्लॉकचेन एंड यू नो उसने सोचा भी नहीं था कि फर्स्ट ईयर ज्वाइन करते ही, सबको मालूम है राइट, फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री मैथ्स फर्स्ट ईयर में, राइट? बट ब्लॉकचेन के प्रोग्राम में इस बार पूरा बायोलॉजी का सब्जेक्ट भी आ गया एंड ही इज फोर्स्ड टू लर्न। मैं उसको अभी परसों मिला, ही इज नॉट हियर। मैंने कहा तुम्हारा फर्स्ट ईयर के सब्जेक्ट्स क्या है? बोल रहा है सर बायोलॉजी है। मैं कहा इतना दुखी होके क्यों बोल रहे हो? कहा सर 12th से तो भागा था मैं बायो से और इन लोग ने फर्स्ट ईयर में। या वी आर डन, राइट? Okay, so this is how the world is changing. You will be influenced by everyone now. So thanks to blockchain, these technologies which are coming now, you cannot run away, right? So I am hopefully to all the experts, I am on the same track, right? So we are getting influenced, right? So we have a panel discussion now where we will have more industry experts and we'll see. Are we ready? Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all present here. We take an immense pleasure in welcoming you to the premier panel discussion on the topic of startup opportunities in the Web 3.0, robotics and AI landscape. Let me take a brief time to introduce myself. I am Sneha and I am going to be your anchor for the day. So in today's dynamic business, startups have been significant and have become an integral part of the economy of the country, right? So startups offer an exciting opportunities for the entrepreneurs and innovators to bring new ideas And these fields, which we are going to be talking about today about robotics and AI, landscape and Web 2.0, has a great opportunity in the future world. Do it one step today and you guys can make your lives easy sometimes. So allow me to introduce you to the speakers and esteemed panelists for the day. We have Mr. Shashi Shekhar, who is advisor, Web3 education and adoption and regional expansion ICP. We have Mr. Aditya Gaurav, who is the youngest world champion in game development. We have Ms. Aarti Shenoy, who is the Director, Customer and Partner Success in South Asian Ripple Company. We have Mr. K.V. Deol, who is a VP in the Tech Mahindra Company. We have Mr. Vish Priyar, who is an Indian head and the of Cyno Global in Solutions. And we have Mr. Sohan Mahajan, who is the MD of Mahajan Automation. We welcome all the panelists on the stage. Please.
Nice to meet you, Sneha. I will go through around another introduction for all of them.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, everyone. My name is Aarti Shenoy. I am moderating this session today on startup opportunities in Web3, robotics, AI, and gaming. And Sneha, thank you for introducing us all. But I'm going to once again introduce this star-studded panel for you. One of our panelists is on his way, probably gone to another college of the same name. So he's on his way here. In the meanwhile, let me once again introduce Shashi Shekhar, who's responsible for regional expansion and adoption, the from Internet Computer, responsible for setting up regional hubs for ICP in various regions of the world, also ensure blockchain education. He also leads the global adoption grants for ICP. Shashi Shekhar, you just heard him. Next to him, we have Kedar Dev, who is the Vice President of Media Entertainment at Tech Mahindra. He's responsible for enterprise architecture and he also has his own startup. So he's going to give us inputs about the opportunities that lie ahead in that space. Next to him is Aditya Gaurav, the youngest champion in the world in the game development space. He's all of 19 years old, probably more relatable to you people than me. We have next to him Sohan Mahajan, who's the MD of Mahajan Automation, has his own startup and is a robotics expert. Very new space for me as well. Welcome, all of you. I have given you a brief idea of the names and the designations, but I'd like to know the backgrounds a little, I'm sure as much as you would like to know them as well. Could you please introduce yourself with a little background and your experience in the Web3 space, the robotics and the AI domain? The mics are right there.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you are awake and the door is locked so that you won't feel like you are stuck in this room. I want to make this very interactive session.
See that?
A few audience also sitting in the balcony, I believe. Top, yeah.
Yeah, this light is blinding, but I can see some smiling faces from the top as well.
So I could hardly read your faces, but I would like to make this very interactive. So coming to my background, guys, I've total 27 years of experience, and as Aarti said, I have my own startup also. And we also do a lot of internship opportunities, and we also train people, how to face those internship opportunities. So it's not like we're just giving the problem statement, we also help you mentor and, deliver it to a successful project and build your career. Because when you graduate out of this college, the only thing for you to speak up is your project. So when you go and talk to the interviewer, the first question they'll ask is, what is your final year project? So whatever internship project or whatever project you do during your academics is going to speak for you when you enter into the market. So this is our kind of a plan to help you build the skills to face a lot of challenges on the internship opportunity. So looking forward to interact with most of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kedar.
Hello guys. Yesterday I begged guys, now I don't think I have to beg guys again. Alright, so my name is Aditya Gora and I'm related to the interactable AI space because I've worked in game development for a long time. Well, not too long compared to these individuals as I'm 19. I started game development back when I was in high school, and since then I have like about 3.5 years of experience around that. And my experience in interactable AI has been such that when you make games, you have to actually create AI that interacts with your character when you are playing it. So that's where I make AI inside the game. So that's where my experience lies in terms of AI only. Good morning. My name is Sohan Mahajan. I'm the manager in automation, Pune. We are into industrial robotics. To give a background, I've done my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Pune, and then I've done my master's in robotics from University of Cincinnati, Ohio, in the US. Worked there for 3-4 years, and then I came back and I started my own startup. It's been around 7 to 8 years now, and I would like to share about my experience, and anyone who wants. How many of you want to do a startup here? How many of you want to do your own business?
I can see some hands, but they're not raising high enough.
And how many of you want to do jobs, get a good job?
Nobody from the, everybody from the top, huh? Oh.
Okay. I think you have heard me already about my journey, but specific to what I do in Web3 is right now, because it's a new technology, right? There needs to be a lot of evangelism that needs to happen, a lot of education that needs to happen, and then a lot of people who will use this technology as a user and as a developer and a builder, right, from startups and everything. And my role here is to actually build those strategies and implement it. So this is what I normally do. To give you an example, like right now Web3 has an issue where when you train someone, they are not trained enough to find a job in Web3, like a proper job. So how do you actually fix that? There is an entire report that says 95% of the people who join blockchain as a developer leave in 10 days. And so I came up with a program in a previous company where actually we fix this issue. And also there is, for a new blockchain that is upcoming, the issue is that you need projects to support developers and you need developers to support projects. So it's a catch-22 situation. So you need to have escape velocity or critical mass to actually go beyond that. So my role was to devise these adoption programs and then do that. And the result of that, in 1 year, we were able to reach 200,000 people.
It's amazing.
And trained around more than 10,000 developers and made my previous company one of the fastest growing blockchain in the world. And in the new company, what I'm doing is basically all the blockchains are situated in one part of the globe, mostly on Switzerland and some of these areas. And for them to actually do for India or LATAM or Far East, you need to have local presence with local people who understand the locality, local regulations, local constraint. So what we are doing is setting up, imagine like a mini of entire, like in blockchain we call it a foundation which runs all the programs from grants to the education to developer relations to startup funding and all of that. So my role is to set up these regional hubs in all these regional places, and in the past 3-4 months we have set up 11 of these.
That's amazing, Shashi. Yeah, please.
So you guys, what is the Google top 2 predictions for the future? Everybody is following Google program. What are the top 2 predictions from Google?
I can go for it, but I'll let the audience.
So any guesses?
You mean in terms of opportunities, right?
In terms of opportunities, in terms of how the future is going to be for all of you guys. You're going to derive the future for all of us, right? At least for all the Indians abroad. So let me just pull it out. First prediction is, if you want to make a 4 days a week, AI is going to be the most essential in every aspect you do. Whether you're electronics, your computer science, your mechanical, your civil, you want to make a 4 days a week, and a lot of countries already started 4 days a week. So only thing behind that is, if AI is there in all the fields, it's possible to have 4 days a week. And what is the second Google future prediction? Any guesses? And you're not following Google program, is it? And they predict lot of good things, and it actually happens. The way we have seen predictions. The second prediction, let me pull it out. Developers are going to drive the future. So as Shashi said, you have all the developers who are going to drive the future, what's going to be the next future for the industry. So even I call myself as a developer, though I have 27 years of experience. I'm happy to get into this as a developer, because I have a developer mindset. I still code on the ground. I still enjoy coding on the ground. So in order for you to become successful in your life, you first at the education level be a good coder. In whichever programming language, whether it's Solidity in blockchain or C# or Java or Python, be a good developer. That's the foundation thing. If you know this foundation things well, you can cope up with any future buzzword technology, whether it's Web 3.0 or Web 4.0 or 6G is coming in 2024. There are multiple challenges coming from 6G. Now 5G is just settling down. So be a good developer. Is a key message. I just want to start this session.
This is a brilliant message to start with. I will add something to that fact. Of the 19,000 Web3 developers in the world, the largest community of developers are in India. And in the next 1 year, India is poised to be the largest ground for Web3 developers. Can you assess the type of opportunity that lies ahead of you particularly? With that, I'll go back to Shashi, because he's in the space of advisory. Shashi, what do you see as the most promising opportunity for startups in the intersection of Web3, robotics and AI, as well as gaming? If you can give a couple of examples, it will just help everybody understand what lies ahead of us.
See, for startups in general, and especially young entrepreneurs in general, right, it's a green field. I think that's one of the biggest opportunity in general, that everything you do is actually clearing the forest in this space. And to add, like India for the first time in 2024 will have highest number of developers surpassing US in the world for the first time in the history. But there is also a challenge for us, like the developer because I interact with a lot of people in this space, that we right now are not looking at emerging technologies the way we should. So to little bit modify your question, I will focus it on India, because the audience is, so startups, AI, robotics, all of these people have a huge challenge in front of us for startups, that we are not trying to clear the forest, we are trying to follow what is already there. Like there was a huge uproar when someone from the AI industry visited and said that you cannot create something that we have created in India. While I feel like probably we can, for sure, but the mindset and the education level and the way we approach education, it is what needs to be changed for, in my opinion, the biggest challenges, because if you don't try out these technologies in different use cases, you won't be able to do it. Like for example, if I take blockchain in particular, like we have seen an entire decentralized finance summer, and then there was a non-fungible tokens thing. But what is for India? People ask me like, when will blockchain have adoption in India? So right now blockchain functions like for private good. You do it, you will make money. The moment we transition it to public good, blockchain for public good, will see huge adoption. So the startups who work on those concepts and those use cases will see a huge adoption. Does that answer your question?
It does, and it also takes me to my next question. How many over here know that blockchain and crypto are two separate things?
Yeah, that's a very
Do
good
you
question.
understand the fact that crypto and blockchain need to be dehyphenated? One is just technology, the other one is a use case, right? A lot of people in the government space, even those less evolved spaces who do not understand the technology. Why did RBI ban a crypto in the first place? Back then they did not understand what it is. So the easiest thing to do in terms of regulation is to ban it, right? When they wrapped their head around it, they started thinking that taxation is probably a better way to curb it, but instead of a full-blown ban, right? Which is a challenge, right, for somebody in our space. Please go, share your thoughts and I'll come back to challenges because that is something that will touch all our lives, right?
Sure. So in terms of gaming, we are used to see gaming as just playing on a mobile phones, probably on computers, and those who are lucky enough to get consoles, then consoles are one thing also. And probably numerous ways you can have those handheld consoles, Switch, Nintendo Switch, and those PSs, which are normal. But the future of gaming is literally unbound. And what you can use, gaming is not just about a you game in particular game mode where you have to just race with somebody or you have to just do something. It's more the line is getting blurred between how you game and how you see the future. Like AR and VR is getting closer and closer day in day. And Apple is already in the front with Vision Pro. And we are soon to see transparent glasses which have integrated VR into the glasses that we wear already. These things will blur the line between what you see gaming as today and between what gaming will be in the next decade. So I see gaming as a thing that you can interact with while you are at any place. You don't have to hold consoles, you don't have to hold any kind of a device in your hand. You can just play games with movement of your eyes. I see gaming at that level. And it can be as interactive as you can sit in a class and just play games, like, of course, the teacher will scold you, but then this is something that I see as the future of gaming, but it will be so much interactive. It will be within your body. How you keep mobile phone with your body daily, you will be keeping a VR headset daily, but it will be integrated to your body's devices, wearable devices. So that's my view.
Something new I learned today. I'm in the space, but this is something absolutely new. But gaming with your device on your eye. But that also brings a lot of challenges, right? This question is open to all. What are the challenges that you have faced? Because I think maybe you can take this question. What is the challenge you faced during the startup journey that you started? Just wanting to see a lot of people here would want to have their startup someday. Show of hands. Startup enthusiasts.
Startups, how many of you?
Enthusiasts. So hands should go straight up, not like this. How many women? No women.
Keep your hands raised, please.
Okay. Go on.
Can you keep your hands raised, please? How many of you want to?
And it's okay if you don't know what you're going to start. But if you have an entrepreneurial streak, that should be enough.
Okay.
Nobody's going to ask you what you want to start, as long as you want to start something.
All right. So yeah, that's okay. So
Maybe after so and tell is a great point.
So there are many challenges when you start a business, especially in India. There are many challenges. So first and foremost, when you are even thinking of starting a startup, you have to love what you do. Otherwise, it is next to impossible to survive in a startup. Out of maybe 1,000 startups which start in India, I think maybe even 10 or 20 must be successful. Most of them shut down. So first and foremost, you must love what you do, whatever it is in your space. And then to address the challenges, there are plenty. First is the bureaucratic setup in India. It is not very conducive for startups. You have to find your own ways. It's not given on a platter to you many times. And second is the consumer market, especially if you are in IT, it's maybe you are interacting with clients from outside of India, so then it is a pretty smooth process. But if you are dealing with local customers, then there are a lot of other challenges which come up in the process. So that is one of the most, and second is this thing, I mean, not every startup has to raise funds. Nowadays, especially in Bangalore or Hyderabad, we see that when you have a startup, you do something and then you raise a fund. We have been bootstrapped all these 7-8 years. We have been bootstrapped. We have put our own funds from the business. We put our own funds into the business, and that's how we have grown. So many people think that unless I have a good venture capitalist, how can I grow a startup? But that's not necessary. So you can grow a startup without a fund too.
Kedar, you had some thoughts on that.
So basically, just want to tune this question. You want to be a good developer, okay, and then you can become a good startup. So a lot of hands should raise now. Who wants to be a good developer? Yeah, I could see more answers. Listen. So in order for you to cope up with any technology or challenges or buzzwords, as I said, you need to be a very good developer. As Aditya himself proved, that he's a very good gaming developer. He was working like 17 hours a day to become a successful developer, and then with that, his knowledge and experience, he could manage to start his own career in the gaming, and he got a very good attention from the rest of the world. So coming to this point of one of the challenges in the startup, as Sohan said very rightly, mindset. Mindset is very important. Your interest is obviously going to drive you, your passion is going to drive you, but the mindset and your ability to survive for 3 years. Okay? So yesterday Guruji gave an example, like there are people like you and people like us, we call ourselves little veterans, like 30 years now. So there is, if you have a dance, you have to dance on both the feet. So one foot has to be on the ground and one foot has to be in the air. So you guys have feet in the air and we are the people on the ground. So mentor will guide you, but finally you have to dance together. Okay? So if you have a capability to survive for 3 years, without any tension, then startup is a good idea for you. Otherwise, most of the people think about the startup once they settle in their career and they say, now I have a lot of money to invest, so let me get into a startup. So it's all up to you. If you have good backing, good support, but if you are getting into that, just survive for 3 years. Don't say 6 months, on a day one you can't expect a salary to come to you and started helping you. No. You may need to wait for at least 3 years. If you have that mindset, then only get into startup. Otherwise, think about getting a good developer, getting a good job. So, काबिल बनो, कामयाबी automatically आ जाएगी. We know previous dialogue, right? So just be काबिल. I think that's very, very important, and you will become automatically successful.
That's very nicely put. Please.
Yeah, just to give a different view, like Kedar said, there are two approaches, right? One is you are very strong technically. You are a great coder, and then you can set up business. Or you are a very good salesman, and then you set up a business. So my case is the second one. I don't know how to code, but I know how to sell. Okay, so you need to focus your strengths. You need to understand your strengths and focus on one of them. Either be a good coder or be a good salesman.
That's a nice point. Focusing on skill development, but also identifying where you lack and ensuring that you collaborate with people who can fill in for that gap. I'll have a last thought from you, and then we have Vishnu with us, so I'll introduce him, and then we can complete the entire panel.
Sure.
Go ahead, Aditya.
So I'll add to both of those answers. Those are great. The main challenge, because I'm of yours, so I've had many challenges being of yours, right? Raising funds is like a nightmare. And investors, like underestimate you, probably, because they think that age is equals to your experience and your capability of success, but that doesn't equals that. If doesn't matter if you're 19 or 20 or probably 18, doesn't matter. If you have the capability to become successful, then nobody's stopping you, and you should just leave those investors at their own pace and go to the next investor. That's the best part to do. And the next thing that Sohan sir said, that if you can be a good businessman, a seller, right, and you can be a good developer, either one of those. And if you are one of those who is more into communication, into business development, then I totally would like to recommend you that if you want to start a startup, go find a technological co-founder. That's a need of the hour, because if you are just going to make an offline-based startup that's not that doesn't have a technology layer to it, then that won't be too scalable. So if you are a good businessman, that's good, but do find a co-founder who has a technology background, who can help you build the product. So that is something, and I think being young gives you a lot of perspectives of the world that when you get older you don't get. So starting now is the best part to actually learn from those things which others haven't learned through. So yeah, that's my point.
Thank you. And you are the shining example of starting young and being taken seriously. Right. Very pleased to introduce Vish BR. He's the Indian head for Senior Global Capital Investment Company. It's a Web3 venture capitalist company. Welcome, Vish. We got faced with the Bangalore nightmare of traffic. That's like an induction program when you come to Bangalore. My next question is on ethical and social implications. And Kedar, I think I should pick you to answer this. Some of the thoughts that come to mind when we think of social implications, especially in the field of Web3, robotics and AI, is should we automate away all jobs, including the fulfilling ones? Should we develop non-human minds that might eventually outnumber or outsmart us and then eventually replace us? So as robotics and AI become more prevalent in society, there is an excitement as well as a concern. And what do you think are the ethical considerations that we should have in mind while developing products and services in this space?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question, and I think a lot of people are kind of scared because AI is going to take away their job, or there's a lot of, I don't know whether you heard, GitHub Copilot. Has anybody heard a tool from Microsoft which automatically writes the code? Right, so it's like Alexa, turn off these lights, or Alexa, just play this music. So Alexa is like the interface for integrated with the Visual Studio IDE, which is say, hey, GitHub Copilot, write a code for me, or write a searching algorithm for me, or given a piece of code.
This is a very important question.
Yeah, so given a piece of code, GitHub Copilot will give a more it will write an efficient code for you, or it will write an automatic test case for you, or it will write a sustainable or more high performing code for you. So is it going to take away your job, or is there any machine replacing human kind of a concern, which I think yesterday also we found a lot of people are getting scared. What's going to happen for my future? Have I made the right choice to join the computer science, or so I switch it back to my core engineering disciplines if possible. So I think the point is the technologies are here, and as I started, it's going to make your life better. Okay, so 4 days a week, if the guys in Singapore already started working 4 days a week. There are a lot of countries, they're saying because of AI, we don't want to keep our mundane tasks being done by the laborers and people spending their time doing mundane tasks every day. So let's machine handle that. And the remaining time what the human beings have got, they can enjoy their time with the family or go somewhere and explore the world. Okay, so AI is here to stay, and AI is not going to take your job or human beings relevance out. Okay, so if you use the AI for the right use case and right solution, it will help you rather than taking job from you. And I think Guruji also, we asked this question yesterday to Guruji, and how this blockchain and this AI is going to, and there is some cloning happening for the human being. Can you replace an Atma, or you have a robot, I think you have robotics people. So can you put Atma inside the robot and ask him to think like a human? Okay, that is a question. And Guruji said, yeah, it's possible. If AI is having, a replica of robots and all that, it can also replicate the mind, and that so-called clone robot with a mind trained, with machine learning can as well think and, behave the same way as with emotions and feeling, what human beings are also feeling. So, but don't stretch the technology to a level where it started getting more stress to all the human beings. So you're compromising the ethics. So that's what he was very clearly said, like don't use the technology to the extreme possible. So it becomes a troublesome again back to the human beings. So you have to de-learn, or there's something called a degrowth, Let's not use robotics for this, let's have human beings doing that, they'll do a better job. And let's not replace humans with robots. So exactly. So use the technology to make your life easy, not to make your life hell.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from your answer is, to some extent, a lot of jobs will be taken up by technology, but instead of feeling excluded, we should become included in the learning process and improve the efficiencies of everyday things in our lives.
Yeah, and yesterday also we mentioned, when we kick off this TechVantage, we also very well said the only people who will be irrelevant is who is not applying AI. Okay? Whoever applies AI to the right use case will stay relevant forever. So you have your own career very well.
Correct. And since we are opening our minds and hearts to more AI in our lives, there definitely are going to arise privacy concerns. And this question is open to all. Maybe, of course, Sohan, please.
So we get this a lot, right? When we install a robot, we are directly replacing the operator with the robot. So we get this question a lot. Is it ethical to install robots? So first of all, the most common complaint of our customers is we don't get operators. So the customers, we think that we have a huge population, but people nowadays fancy working in the malls in AC, they don't want to go to factories to work. So most of the customers who install, they are having severe shortage of operators. They don't get operators. And secondly, this is a natural progression. If you see any developed countries, people have moved up, the skill level has gone up. You cannot always be an operator, always be a welder. You have to skill yourself and go to the next level. So machines can take up the low level jobs. Now this is going to be there whenever when a company owner thinks, he always thinks to maximize profits. So he will put AI, he will put robots wherever it is required. And it's a great growing industry. I mean, for example, in China, now for every 10,000 people, there are around 150 to 200 robots. And in India, the number is 3. For every 10,000, we have 3 robots. So it's a huge expansion will be there, and it's gradual. It's not that all operators are going to go away and replace the robots. It's gradual, and we have to be focused towards upgrading the skills rather than thinking the other way.
Vish wants to say something. Go ahead, Vish, please.
I would like to so-and-so explain that I was reading across the journal some time back, and I got to know that according to the current geopolitical conditions, we all know that we have cut some ties off from China in terms of imports. And that's why we are, as a country, we are moving in terms of manufacturing ahead, and we are trying to focus on that part. So, and when it comes to social scale of hierarchy, then of course the developed countries are already in the tertiary sector, where they are more focused on building technological things, and they outsource all the services to South Asian countries, and probably manufacturing before it was China, but now it's also getting diversified. So this social hierarchy is going to be continued. So I think we as a country should be focusing more on the manufacturing part and building our own technological startups here home in India. Yeah, I'd like to add that I think one thing which has happened in the recent decade is that there has been a fundamental shift which has occurred, and that shift is something which we need to recognize. When that fundamental shift occurs, it's basically how society interacts with technology which gets broken. And what I mean by by that is that your ethics of what you think right now might not translate into what technology you want to use for yourself. For example, recently, how many of you know that Snapchat integrated OpenAI? Safety implications of that? For example, like a 13-year-old speaking to an AI chatbot, which was recently demonstrated, it started having conversations which a normal human would not. That basically means to say a 13-year-old's mind is actually being molded by an AI which does not understand the context of ethics. So, like, as students right now, there is a huge opportunity for you guys when those doors are broken for you to reel that back into control. So that's also an opportunity as an entrepreneur. The second thing, when you're looking at it from the Web3 perspective, your world or your global standpoint and your ability to solve problems for the world becomes more open because your access to the technology and your market is provided by technology. Now, when you see something like this change, your view should not be like local anymore, it should be more global. For example, like as AI's technology started evolving, there is a deep desire and requirement for compute. Has anyone heard of this company called Render? Render, for anyone who doesn't know, has decentralized compute. That basically means to say you don't need to run your own data centers, but you can borrow it. And you get rewarded or you get paid for giving that compute in return. So there are these many technologies which are emerging, which you guys need to look at from an opportunity perspective.
That's an amazing point, Vish. Just double-clicking on that, a little on privacy concerns, right? Maybe you can elaborate on when you said that a 13-year-old girl chats with an AI without knowing AI, that opens a Pandora's box, a can of worms for adults, responsible parents who want to. So how are we supposed to maintain that balance? And this question after you, anyone who wants to have thoughts in their own sphere of Web3, robotics as well as AI and gaming. Go ahead, Vish.
Like, from my perspective, it's that everything in its very underlying form is actually being translated into language. That's fundamentally what is changing. Your code is just language which the machine understands. AI speaks or understands or communicates through a language which humans understand, and everything around it would translate into language. Your images are language which are visual, right? So, to basically come into privacy here, the way you would look at it is that how do you provide context to this? Because context is the single most important part of language, and why, like I can just explain in, like let's say that simple as a conversation such as, do you want to go out and have a drink with me, changes meaning for you depends on who says it to you, right? And what social context it's said in. Let's say it's a group of friends. What your perception towards that meaning is different. Let's say that you go out and you're having food and someone asks that to you, someone new, your context or reaction to that changes. So there is where the problem remains, that language and context go hand in hand, and these technologies should be developed in context to something else, and that is where privacy comes in. Like when you teach or when you code into the technology, that privacy concerns for a particular individual or a user should not be violated, and that is how you start building those foundations on top.
So, and therefore there is a lot of insistence on governments wanting to regulate the space, but as responsible developers, what I'm hearing from you is responsible developers should take this into account when they're building their products, right?
100%. Like the way I would say this is that like all of these language models which you see developing is basically like in
information provided by humans, and all of these AIs are also developed by humans. So there is going to be inert biases which come in. The first biggest thing we need to do is to be able to weed out these biases. Simple example for that would be, there is like, I can just put one line here, is that before, what used to happen is that you used to grab attention. Now you're able to create attention for yourself using these technologies. So in what avenue can you use them is like a big question. A single Snapchat filter can basically make me Modi giving a speech and can be distributed across the world, right? How do I stop this as a nation? What can be done is that as soon as there is a filter attached, there is a code which basically is prompted on top, and as soon as that is distributed, that prompt is actually showing up saying that this is a computer generated image. It's as simple as this, right? One more thing, like what I can give you an example of another what Adobe did. For example, let's say that artists were having this huge problem where you create art, I copy it, I mint it on the blockchain, and I sell it as an NFT. But how do I stop this? Adobe basically put an inscription in each artist when they create the original painting that this is an original and this is copied. A simple difference of 1 byte can basically tell you what is original or not. Keeping these things in mind when you're building products, saying what is fair and what is not, what is allowed and what is not, is very fundamentally necessary, because we're actually laying the foundations of what the world can look like.
That is really a simple solution to something that will not interfere with innovation, right? I mean, having to completely interfere into a regulatory prism, it's better to just have something. That's an amazing example. You have a thought?
Yeah, I'll go with a great example, a real story. So there's a game named Roblox. How many of you play Roblox? I imagine not a lot. Well, yeah, this was expected, because this game was actually focused on kids, right? Under 16 age of players played for a majority. And back in US, the piracy team, those who handle the code that takes the data of kids who are playing the game, they actually hadn't implemented anything to make the data limited, to take limited data from the kids who are playing that. So they were, the Roblox team was also taking the kids' age, their gender, their name, what do they do right now, what are they studying, and including what are they making right now in the virtual world. This way they were targeting those kids, which is illegal. This way they were targeting those kids to actually buy more Indian virtual assets, and these kids were then indirectly forcing the parents to buy these assets for them. And so this actually caused a backlash recently, and caused like millions of dollars of what do you call it? Penalty on Roblox global operation. So this is something that we need to think about, that sometimes companies go off their charts to actually target users based on the data which they should not be taking legally, and that's when these EU unions probably gets in the play, and world unions. So I'll just add, sorry. I would just would like to add one more angle for the regulations. So imagine there is a police cop sitting in the signal at the crossover, right? And you're supposed to follow some certain guidelines. So as this Web 3.0, one of the top 3 objectives of Web 3.0 technologies is decentralization, as you know. Second is openness and greater user utility. So because of all these 3, there is the earlier world was not that open. Earlier was completely centralized, and users are not able to utilize it the best way they can. That's why Web 3.0 introduced. But now, if you start taking advantage of Web 3.0, any project which you do in future is going to be Web 3.0 influence. I will be very surprised if any project you do doesn't have any role to play from Web 3.0 technologies. So having technologies coming in, there are some regulatory people like police cops coming and tell you that certain things you shouldn't be doing it. While it's still open, it's still decentralized, it still allows better user control and across things, But still, there's a UN, we said, United Nations, there are 17 principles UN has released. So any company or any project you do now versus in future needs to be governed by these 17 principles what UN dictates. Okay, it's maybe startup company till a big MNC or financial institutes. So what they're saying is very simple. They're saying while we take the advantage of technology, so he's talking about sustainability. So as you know, we have a very limited resources like fuels and anything which you consume now. You want to give it to the next generation. If you consume everything, there's nothing left for the future generation to consume. So there are some regulations. When you develop a source code, a solution, it emits some carbon. Okay, so there's a CO2 emissions. Yeah, there's a session I'm going to do in second half on this green coding. So stay tuned. I'm just going to do some precursor on.
Yeah.
So it's all governed by the UN sustainability principles. Like when you write a code, it has to be sustainable code. So you guys must be wondering, यार मैं code लिख रहा हूँ तो इसमें CO2 का कहाँ से आ गया? So any code you write, it has a CO2 emission. Okay, and with a regulatory act on it, it's still like a traffic cop sitting and monitoring कि आपका CO2 emission कितना जा रहा है. When you write a code, उसका CO2 emission कितना है? And with just monitoring, and there are some regulatory acts, they're not still penalizing people not following these regulatory principles. But in future, if you do not follow these regulatory concerns or principles stated by UN, you may need to pay a heavy penalty in terms of even closing your company. So just be aware. If you want to join the second session, I'll give you more details about those sustainability principles, which is governing anything what we do on the ground on IT as well as non-IT projects.
Thank you for that, and that's a great prelude to your next session. My next question is to you, Shashi. Thanks for taking the mic. How can startups in Web3 robotics engage with academia? From an investor standpoint, I'll ask academia to Sohan maybe later. What are the key factors you would consider when evaluating startups in the Web3 robotics, gaming as well as AI space for investments?
Okay, before that, can I say on
Please share your views.
See, there are two major tenets, like should we be fearful of things like AI or all of this, right? I personally feel we shouldn't, whether it's for job, whether it's for ethics, whether it's for privacy, and because these are things, as was said, these are things that we create from ourselves, right? So these things cannot remove human consensus, because if you are trying to, if you want to become future proof with any technology, like this narrative has been age old. Like in 90s there was something around internet that was happening, so we'll know for sure. And this has been, so people who are foolproof from these, from a professional point of view, people who create new things, because these technology train on things that are already created. They don't train on what is not created. So that's a creator mindset. So I normally say, like for an entrepreneur, you should be always a curious problem solver. Whether you're a techie or non-techie doesn't matter. But if you're a problem solver, that too a curious one, you will always succeed. Now on the privacy part itself and the ethics part, I personally feel whenever there is a new world order, it's now that is getting established due to war, due to technological advancements, all these ethics that we understand for get re-questioned and rebuilt. So I personally feel that we will see extremes of this happening, and then it's like, and then you find a middle path around this. And we are in right now in a tech conference led by a spiritual entity. So that's basically also life. Like you go to extremes and then you find a middle path around that. So that's my point around this. On the startup front, I think Web3 brings a very amazing opportunity here. In Web3, basically, normally when you raise a Web2 startup or any startup, you need to find consumers separately, you need to find investors separately, you need to find how does this product fit in your market? Everything, right? And then you need to extract value out of your customers to build your product. But what happens natively in Web3 is, and also it's like a permission thing. Oh, you know such and such founders. Oh, I know this from Sino Global. I can raise money. this is a friend, that's why I'm taking an example. But in Web3 what happens is that your consumer is your investor, your consumer is your community, your consumer is your go-to-market people. And in Web3 you can actually raise money from the consumer itself, because they can be stakeholders. I was talking about fractional ownership in my talk before, right? So raising capital in Web3 becomes very easy. Testing your product in Web3 becomes very easy because your investors are only testing it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that the ardent backers of innovation sometimes have a solution when they're looking for a problem, and that is a big issue, right? I'll take your views on this. So what happens is, unless there is a real world problem to solve and the customers really want to pay money to buy it, you really don't have a product, right? Vish?
Yeah, the way I would actually I would, rather than answering the question directly, I'd like to flip the thing on the model. If you want to build a product, how do you look at it, right? Rather than looking at it from the perspective of an investor, I want to look at it from the perspective as like an entrepreneur or a creator. So the models that basically used for this are some things from trading, because essentially what trading does is it captures the value which you require by looking at it in the near future of what the market looks at it. That's how you actually start trading. So the way you would look at it is that first you would generally look at the macro trends of what the global economy is doing. You look at the spaces such as the sectors, subsectors, verticals which are existent in that. Then you look at primarily, okay, there are 10 different companies which are fighting for spot 1 here, and what do they offer to customers? Is it enough, or is there any missing piece? Every single company does not need to be B2C. That means direct to customer. There is always B2B as well. There's always B2B2C as well. So when you know all of this, what you would see is that,
for the benefit of students, can you explain what B2C is?
B2C is business to customer directly, B2B is business to business, B2B2C is business to customer, essentially. So an example for that would be AWS and Flipkart. That's B2B, right? B2C would be Flipkart to you, right? Now the logistical partner is also B2B2C. How does that work is that I am getting paid from a business, but I'm still interacting with the customer at the end of the day, right? So you essentially should look at the gaps which exist here. For example, let's say that an order is being processed. Does the payment gateway give a good enough user experience? If not, what can I change, right? The same way you would look at it let's say in Web3, right? I'm trading, can I get more data out of it? And is my data going to be more accurate? And every single problem has a simple solution, and simple solutions, when you stack them on top of each other, becomes a product. It's as simple as that. But now for you to figure out those solutions is the $1 million question, to be honest.
Take this ahead.
It's very nicely broken down, Vish. Thank you.
I would like to take this ahead and include some good things about being at your place, right, being a student. I have got many friends, they ask me, यार मेरे को ये coding language तो आती है, इससे क्या startup करूँ? This is not the way to go. That's like you are already having a solution looking for a problem. That's not the right way to go. You should be asking that I see a burning problem there. It might be your friend is facing, it might be your family is facing, it might be somebody you have seen yourself, you have faced that problem yourself, or at least that is in close contact to you guys. So that's when you take the problem, and that's when you think about what I can do for it. You don't think what coding language I know, you think about what can I do for it. It might, see, for some who know Web3, it might include Web3 design, but the point is that you can't solve everything with Web3. It is about which is the best way to solve that problem. That's the way to go, the other way around, right? You should not be looking at the solution for a problem, but then You should be looking at the problem first, then find a solution for it.
Thank you, Aditya. Go ahead. Yeah. Kedar, you can.
So just one thing I want to add to his point was that like when you're looking at it, so don't stop yourself from like reading everything. Knowledge is always modular. Like what I mean by that is that something you read in the newspaper might actually be helpful in an interview somewhere. And what I mean by that is that like, okay, some fundamental things are very similar to each other because they just are, and accepting this is very much essential. Like for example, language models, right? In philosophy, there is a certain set of linguistics which goes into ethics. Now that starts becoming relevant because of AI, right? Now when you're coding, how do you make it more efficient? You basically can take your percepts from how do you start summarizing language? What are the most essential features which are required to, what is the minimum code which is required to make this work? That essentially comes from mathematics as well. So don't stop yourself from like gathering knowledge, because when you're looking at solving your problem, your solution comes from literally anything. Like there is this one founder who I was speaking to, for him a solution basically came when he was actually making an omelette. So like it's very modular for you guys.
Yeah, so just want to add what Aditya and Vish said. I think solving the right problem is very important. Okay? Just do not say I know this coding language so I can write. So everything I can write in Python or everything I write in C. Because I know C, I just know Python. That's not the right way to look at it. Okay? So there's so many startup examples. As Aditya was asking, one of the very good startup was Devise. Have you heard about this company Devise? DHIWISE. They're very successful startup. They started with 1 or 2 people. What was their problem? You know which problem statement Devise startup they have chosen? They want to make the life of developer easy. Okay? They say my customer is developer. I am not talking about any B2B, B2C, B2D2C. I don't get that. I want to make the life of developer easy. So how can I make life of developer easy? I'll give an example of GitHub Copilot. That's also a tool from Microsoft which is making the life of developers easy. It integrates well with your integrated development environment, and it will help you write a code. It's not writing code on your behalf, but it will help you. It's like IntelliSense. When you type something, it automatically retypes for you, right? So you don't have to type it again, so look ahead and all that. So they solve the problem of developers where now any solution you create using Web 3.0 technology, you create a UX. Everybody is familiar with UX, right? You create screens, mock-ups, from login to set of screens, and finally billing, payment, shipment, typical e-commerce example. So what Power Devise people solve is, a lot of people want to create a mobile apps. Okay, they create fancy UI, fancy UX, screen mock-ups, and there are a lot of tools like Figma, Canva. They create a fantastic UX, but converting that UX into a mobile application or web application, people used to spend hell amount of time. Mapping that with the right events, which widget to show, how to navigate, how to give the best experience, and again, voice experience for the mobile or web application. So what they developed is they develop a connector which takes the UX and create a Flutter code, and is ready to go and ready to build. You just build it on Android Studio and your mobile application is up and running. So this is such a successful startup. They got so much millions and trillion dollars of funding from Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and they said this, haven't spent a single penny from my pocket. We just tap on this right idea of solving the developer's issue, how to convert UX into a mobile application with a automatically code basic generator. It's not writing a code on your behalf, but it's aiding you to convert UX into a friendly mobile app, Flutter based, or you can create a web application also on top of it. And that's how they become such a successful startup. So the point which I'm trying to drive, as Aditya and Michelle, is try to solve the right problem, guys. Identify the right problem, and then you will become more successful.
Maybe I can take my mic and you can.
Sure.
After your thought, I'll go to Sohan, and then we'll shift the focus to the students in the room. on career opportunities?
Sure. I would like to add a simple, very simple and very effective point to all of our panelists' answer. There's a man named Paul Bishop who is in US and he's a very successful entrepreneur. He gave a very simple anecdote to all the entrepreneurs who are starting right now and probably who are students. That's the right time to start building a company. So he said that imagine whatever you are building, just imagine how can you make the 90% of the solution with just 10% of your work. Let me give you a simple thing. If I am going to build each and every complex solution, or before each and every complex feature, I am going to insert it in a single product, then that's going to take me as an entrepreneur a long amount of time to launch, and that's the bad way to do it. You wanna, as an entrepreneur, it's your responsibility to launch in the market as fast as possible. Doesn't depend what the product is. For some products that are into hardware industry, it might take longer, but for technological product, it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 weeks to launch a basic V1 of your product.
Thank you. We're at the top of the hour. I just want to make sure that we have enough time for questions. So if you can throw some light on the opportunities in terms of careers that lie ahead for students, and how can they start their Web3 journey? Shashi, after that you can also maybe give some thoughts on it.
So career paths, of course, there's, like we said, you can either have your own startup or you can take a good job, right? So I will talk about the robotics industry. So there are basically 3 types of job opportunities in robotics. One is the OEMs, which are the original equipment manufacturers, which are manufacturing the robots, like Fanuc or ABB, that you must have heard of these companies. And these companies are there in India. Fanuc has a big headquarters in Bangalore. So that is the first. Second is the system integrators. Those who buy the robots and then build the whole systems for the consumers, for their customers. So even these companies, for example, Wipro has a big company in this space. And then there are a lot of, like us, we are also one of them. We are one of the system integrators. So we buy robots and then we build the ecosystem, we build the entire, application for the customer. And the third in robotics is the end user. So say Tata Motors or Bajaj or all these guys or Toyota, they are using the robots. So you can, for career, there are these 3 kind of opportunities in the robotics industry. Either the OEMs, the system integrators or the end users. But most of the career opportunities are in the application phase, especially in India. If you are looking for research and development, there is not much in India that goes on. Most of these companies are from outside. We get the ready-made product and we do the application on it. So if you want to be in India, focus more on the application side of robotics.
Thank you, Sohan. Quickly, Shashi, and then we go to the audience.
So in Web3, there are mostly 2 types of opportunities, developers and non-developers. Let me focus first on developers and entrepreneurs. You can actually go and learn development of a particular blockchain. Most of these blockchains normally take 2 to 3 languages, Rust, Solidity, and now almost all of them have JavaScript and Python and TypeScript that you can use. So actually, if you're a developer, you can start shipping your first smart contract within a month. And that's very quick. And then you can apply for these grant programs, bounties that are there to do it. As a student right now, within 2 months, you can start earning upward of $1,000 a month. That's where it starts, and it's very lucrative for developers for sure. Now for entrepreneurs and also non-tech folks, there are multiple opportunities. Like these Web3, as I said, natively have communities. So you need community managers. You need people who will market the product, who will speak about other things. Normally in any business, right? So that's where it is. So in Web3, basically you get paid to learn, you get paid to even raise capital for your startup or your idea. All of this is, and it's like you don't need to know anybody there. It's not like, okay, I know someone and then only, it's all open, you can just go apply and that's it. So you can kickstart your Web3 journey right today, and within 2 months you might be sipping something very amazing and earning a good money out of your dorm room.
He's standing up to take attention. What is Sarvesh has some concluding thoughts, and then we'll have questions from the audience.
The way I would look at it is a little different. To be honest, like first, now the world has changed to a certain extent that you can choose the life you want to live, and your career should be based on that. What I mean by that is a little different. Do you want to be a digital nomad? There are jobs available for it. Do you want to actually stay at one place? There are jobs available for it. Do you want to travel and do everything else and work? There are jobs available for it. The way you should actually choose is that what is compatible with your life and your other kind. For example, you're a person who loves exploring. There are remote jobs available in Web3 where you can travel like every 15 days, you're in a new country and still you're able to deliver code. Like even for like non-developers, you are able to like travel across and still be able to like work in a company right now. The world has moved to that extent. Now with respect to developers, one thing I would ask yourself is that do you want to be in core tech or do you want to actually integrate other problems as well? What I mean by that is now the jobs have evolved to have various sets of skills which you basically require from other subjects, such as like let's say psychology makes you better UI UX developer because you understand how user flow works. Like if you want to get into core technology and economics, you need to understand how microeconomics and macroeconomics works. Like if you want to build more better visual side of it, you need to understand art and abstractness there as well, and how colors and color palettes go together. How do you make it? So it's, to be honest, it's all up to you and what you want, and all the necessary skills which you want to fulfill your career opportunity to get a more content life is all available online. It's just how you want to do it.
Thank you, Rishi. What I'm hearing is there are limitless opportunities if you focus on your own skill development. Thank you very much. I think Guruji is waiting outside, and Shashi and Vish have not met Guruji, so they will proceed to that. Please, a huge round of applause for this fabulous panel. We will have Kedar and Aditya sit here and you can pick their brains. Please ask the most difficult questions you have on your mind and don't make life easy for them at all. Thank you, Vish, Shashi. Thank you. You can take this. You have a mic for the... Please ask the questions you have on your mind and take advantage of very bright minds here on the stage. Any questions? There. You can take. Thank you. Yourself with your name and tell us which stream you are studying.
Hello sir, my name is Abhijit and I am currently in ISC stream. Sir, I wanted to ask from the perspective of a college student, like suppose should we go for a more varied skill set at the intermediate level, or should we go for something that we find passion in and go for an expert level skill?
Yeah. This one open. Okay, I think that's a really great question for not just for you but for everybody else in this room as well. When you look at what skill set you have to learn, this question comes afterwards before currently in the world right now. I think you can't, any woman can't learn all these skill sets even if you give 24 hours of your day, because we are not made for that. We are made for specializing in some fields, not all fields. So first of all, you should be looking where your skills, and if you're passionate about one skill, then I would say that find a use for that skill. Because if you are just passionate only for yourself, then that's not going to help you as a career, right? You're going to earn money to live, right? Without money you can't live. That's the reality, right? So you should be first looking where you can apply your passion towards to. Then you can start working towards your passion. So I think that would be a
good answer for that. This is a typical question. I sponsored close to 35 projects last couple of years. So every time when a student comes to and says, "Sir, किस में project करूँ? कौन सा hot technology है? मेरा इससे career बन जाएगा क्या fail हो जाएगा?" That's a typical mindset. And you said advanced पे करूँ या basic पे करूँ या Python पे कुछ machine learning का algorithm लिख के कुछ तो बनाओ, क्या करूँ मैं? Because there's so many opportunities, and as a student it's like you are easy to get confused. So when actually I'll question them back saying कि आपका passion क्या है, आपको क्या करना है? And then they started thinking, अच्छा, you know what, मेरे को ऐसा कुछ idea है. There's one guy who came to me and saying मुझे एक local eat app बनाना है, जैसे Swiggy, Zomato and all that. I want to create my own platform where small people can come and collaborate and they can sell their own products. So he said, are you sure with this idea you want to take this up? And the technology is just the aid. So whether it's Web 3.0 now versus anything in future, technology is just aid to help you realize that solution. जैसे कल भी हमने बोला था कि आपको जो Web 3.0 का openness और ये जो decentralization का advantage लेना है, तो technology is there. What's your requirement? What you are passionate about? What's your original thought of developing some solution in this space? So as I said, solve the right problem. If you come up with a problem statement, then your technology is secondary. So you should be passionate कि मुझे इसमें कुछ तो करना है. I want to make the life of developer easy. I want to make my maid's life easy. We got a lot of home cooks. We don't have a place to go and see कि मेरा I'm good at, for example, I'm good at making a good kebabs. Okay, but my Swiggy or Zomato मैं बेच नहीं सकती because I'm a very small person. I don't even know. I'm not a technology savvy person, maybe. So you want to help that person. When you create a solution for them, which will ask them to quickly adapt to the technology and reach out to the bigger audience and make their life easy. Okay, so just choose a problem statement. You should be convinced this is the right problem statement, and the technology is the aid for it. And when you learn technology accordingly, it could be basics, it could be, as Aditya said, gaming. He's like, I don't know which problem he's trying to solve. He's trying to make the life of the kids easy. They want to get into a gaming world. They want to understand how different gaming challenges they can overcome. Up miners, a lot of people put the miners solution on the blockchain, and people bid for it. Is my solution better than somebody else's? So ये सब problem statement को आप choose करो, आपको क्या करना है, then learn technology accordingly. That will help you rather than getting confused with the buzzwords and technology. या advanced करूँ या basic करूँ, या basic भी मेरा strong नहीं, तो advanced कैसे करूँ? Getting into that dilemma.
Yeah, more questions.
Did that answer your question?
More questions?
There. Press that button and activate the mic.
You have to press the button very hard. There you go.
So it is, I'm Smaranya, and actually whenever you have a startup idea, let's say, so when you have an idea, if you have a new idea, it's different. You're heralding in a new era of solving that particular problem. But let us say you're trying to make a certain app that is already existing, or there are 3-4 apps that are already existing, and you're trying to make it better. There's always a competition element involved, right? So how do you deal with that competition, that thought saying, let us say I am thinking of an idea, and I'm thinking it's original, but it turns out not to be like that. There's probably been apps there before, and you're just adding something onto it. There might be 10 days later, there might be someone else is adding onto the same idea, and it might be different. So how do you deal with that competition? How do you deal with that thought?
I would like story of Instagram itself. When they launched, there were already more than 5 social networks that were on a global level successful, and they were more than $100 billion valuation. But then those guys at the Instagram, they were at zero, because when you start a startup, you are literally at zero. You have to first take the startup from 0 to 1, and that's where your idea, your execution matters the most. It really matters the most. So when you have the competition, doesn't matter if they're a $1 billion company, doesn't matter if they're a $1 trillion company. The main thing that you should be focusing is at what is the USP, your own unique selling proposition. It can be only one feature, but it should be unique to you and you only. It should not be copyable. What do you call that word? It should not be replicated, right, by other people in any way. If it's replicable to some extent, you should ensure that you be the lead in that industry and you make new features with time again and again.
you should be at the lead of the industry. Even if others are copying you, because in case of Twitch, when they launched, those other people in that industry, of the video streaming industry, other people started copying Twitch features. But what they did was to get ahead of the competition by introducing new features with time. You should be ahead of the curve each and every time. So I think that would be the answer.
And I think this is a typical dilemma even I've seen. A lot of people copy. See, I have this impetus concept brochure. There are 600 problem statements, what people have already solved solution on. So अभी नया problem कहाँ से ढूंढूं? That's a typical challenge. I mean, everybody is facing like that. 240 students passing out from this college. So हर एक unique problem statement लेके something unique, and there has to be a research associated with it. That's a mandate from AICTE, as you must be knowing.